most of the people often ask me almost every day on WhatsApp that what are the skills that we need to learn. And it is not wrong. I replied to most of them wherever I get time. Few are satisfied, few are not. Because you know that, in fact, out of so many people, those who are asking the questions from me, 99.99% are thankless people. They never got a single minute to do any favor for us. Example, give a feedback on the YouTube channel and all, but they want guidance and absolutely free of cost. Anyways, I am now very much matured enough to deal with these thankless people, and young kids are not thankless. In fact, almost most of the people are thankless. Nonetheless, the most important skill in the life is the data crunching. Data crunching and data analytics is the most important skills which you have. There is no doubt that a human being is surrounded by a huge amount of data. Some data coming from the government, some data coming from the Big Four, KPMG, Deloitte and all, some data coming from research agencies just like Nomura, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America and all, and some data coming from multilateral agencies just like World Bank, International Financial Corporation, International Monetary Fund and all. The volume of the data which I saw in 2007 when I started my career compared today, which is 2019, roughly 12 years from my when I start my career, is I think more than 100 times. I still remember in 2007 when we started our career, we used to get one report, max to max 3 to 4 reports in the banks from the banks on a daily basis, max to max 3 to 4. But by the time I was on the verge of leaving my corporate career in EXL by 2015, I remember I used to get around 50 plus reports from various banks only in a day. And reading all these reports is next to impossible that we understand and everyone understand. But still, you know that I keep reading at least 2 newspapers in a day, magazines in a day and so many things. So very important skill in your life is the data crunching, and if you have that skill, then I really don't think anyone in this whole globe can beat you. No one dare to even touch you if you have that skill. But data crunching skill require the backup knowledge. So basically, if I have a chart with me or any data set with me, pie chart, bar chart, table chart or any other or unstructured or structured data, then I don't know from where the data is coming, what is the bias of that data, how the data look like, from how I can link this data. So data crunching skills require the linking ability also. And that linking ability is definitely not a one night stand. It requires at least 5 to 6 years of hard practice. I read 2 business newspapers in a day. This helps me to link that which data is coming from where, who is giving the data, who is the source of the data, and then we note that a relevant team member in our company note that. That is the reason you can see that we make a lot of cuttings of the newspaper. It takes a lot of time. Coming back to the point, today the Chief FinTech Officer of Monetary Authority of Singapore published a link on LinkedIn, wherein he said that Accenture, I don't think I need to give any introduction about Accenture to you. Accenture published a report, I think along with CB Insights, and they said that Singapore got around 100% increase or double. The total FinTech investments happened in 2019 compared to 2018. And just 1 hour before, when I was reviewing the comments of the people, except 2 comments, I was thinking that there are 2 kind of blinds we have in this globe. One kind of blind is natural blind, which is basically naturally made by the God, a person who is a born blind. And one kind of blind is educated blind. They just see a link and they just say congratulations. Supendu Mohanty is basically the Chief FinTech Officer of Monetary Authority of Singapore. I met him personally also. So, congratulations Supendu and MAS team and all these kind of things. Without even clicking on that link and reading that, what is the caveat of that link? Only two people wrote in a rightest way. Two people, and definitely we are going to cover that. No worries about that. But before that, I would like to thank you very much for newspaper for bringing me the data, which anyways I got it from the World Bank. So this data and this data, first of all, let me tell you that the data which I am quoting, I have taken from World Bank and this newspaper. So if anyone from Singapore want it, we will store it for you, right? We don't claim this data is ours. This is by the World Bank. This data is by World Bank and this data is by sources Singapore Ministry of Trade and Industry and Bloomberg. Okay. So 2006, the growth rate for Singapore economy is 9%. 2007, the growth rate again 9%, which is stupendous, no doubt about that. 2008, financial crisis, Singapore again registered a good growth rate of 1.86%, precisely 2%. 2009, Singapore growth rate plumped to 0.1%. The government got an exception to say that because of the financial crisis, the immediate next year of the financial crisis, growth has to fall. Agree, no doubt. 2010, Singapore bounced back just like a cricket match and registered 14.5% growth. Tremendous. A country economy grew by 14.5% only in 1 year. Tremendous. From 2010 till 2019, what happened? You see, in 2010, I repeat, Singapore got 14.5% growth rate. In 2011, they got 6.3%. In 2012, they got 4.4%. In 2013, they got around 4.8%. And 2014, 3.9%. 2015, they got around 2.9%. And 2016, it's around 3.2%. 2017, they got around 4.3%. 2018, they got around 3.4%. And 2019 is 0.7%, which is less than 1%. And according to the recent projections by ANZ, Australia and New Zealand Bank, which is there in the public domain, you can see that in 2020, Singapore will grow by 0.4%, which is less than 0.5%. And I really doubt 0.4% is the right figure, because I see Singapore economy is going to contract this year, which means that the GDP of 2019 would be greater than the GDP of 2020. This is known as contraction. So from 2006 to 2007, Singapore grew about 9%. From 2010, it was around 14.5%, and it never looked back. In 2019, from 14.6% to 0.7%, which is less than 1%. And by the way, in 2019, Singapore cannot have exception like Chinese virus. Singapore always give exceptions like trade war and all these things. By the way, Singapore is not a manufacturing place. Everyone know that. Singapore is a global financial center. We are a Singapore-based company. The trade war between US and China was all about manufacturing. It's about trade tariffs. It has nothing to do with the financial market. Now, having said that, we should not forget that in 2019, in fact in 2018, two things happened. Why in 2018? In 2016, two things happened. Number one, in 2016, Britain's decided to go ahead with Brexit. I still remember 26th June 2016, around 1 month before my departure from EXL, the quit of my corporate career and starting my company. 26th June 2016, Britain's decided to go ahead with the Brexit. So in 2006, from 2016 till 2000 and officially 2020, so which is January, but forget January, from 2016 to 2019, majority of the banks across London, they moved from London to different locations. Like few business went to Hong Kong, few business went to Paris, a very comparative business went to Switzerland, Luxembourg and Frankfurt, no doubt about that. a minute percentage of the business went to Middle East, and a very minute business come to Singapore. So Singapore lost a great opportunity that in 2016, when the Britons together decided that we are going to go with the Brexit, and everyone know that this decision was not conducive for Britain, but we're not talking about politics here. Singapore lost that opportunity. In 2019, when Hong Kong was facing the social unrest challenges, even today, Hong Kong is facing social unrest challenges. The business which actually should have come from Hong Kong to Singapore not came. The volume of that business. Some part of business definitely came, but majority of the business not came. In fact, according to the public statistics, even after this mess which is there in the Hong Kong is still maintaining its position as a place for IPO, which is initial public offering in the Southeast Asia. Around 8 plus Singaporean companies prefer to list to Hong Kong than to Singapore. And probably in 2022 and 23, when Treasury Consulting will also go for listing, we will also prefer Hong Kong than over Singapore. That's for sure. So Singapore economy is contracting. There is no doubt about that. Singapore government might have their own exceptions, but economy is contracting. There is no doubt about that because there are multiple factors. In 2020, when few days before, when government presented the budget in Singapore, they got a deficit budget. And according to the data in the public domain, that in 2020, the expected deficit is around 11 billion Singapore dollar. 11 billion Singapore dollar is the expected budget of Singapore. So a country which used to be a cash surplus country, fiscal surplus country, is now entering into the budget deficit also. Slowly, all negativity is happening into the Singapore. Slowly. In between 2010 to 2019, there is another thing which happened. I remember in 2008, Singapore used to be a place of prop desk. I remember in 2008, the only place to grow the prop desk was Singapore. Only place. In fact, Europe was not that, US was not that. Today, Singapore lost prop desk. Majority of the prop desk already closed in Singapore. In fact, BNP Paribas moved their equity division from Singapore to Hong Kong, and multiple banks, Westpac, which is one of the leading Australia bank, is almost a dinosaur in Singapore. They are having no business. Citibank is also winding up positions in Singapore. And more importantly, another thing is that Australian banks' presence in Singapore reduced, which is ANZ, Westpac, Commonwealth Bank of Australia and all. Need not to mention the position of Commerce Bank, it also reduced. More importantly, another thing that had happened in the banking sphere of Singapore is that Singapore become very aggressive as a payment gateway. Like, I don't know how many of you been to Singapore. If you come to Singapore, you get to know even the buses of Singapore are painted in the red by DBS, the so-called Piyush Gupta, right? A small island bus is painted in the red by DBS, wherein DBS believe that they are doing an advertisement. So the crux of Singapore, which was financial marketplace, the crux of Singapore, which used to be a place where products are actually being launched, it's definitely not there now. This product is losing. Considering all this backdrop, an article comes or a report comes from Accenture that your FinTech investment grew double. And the chief FinTech officer, Supendu, copied this, posted it on his LinkedIn, and people start posting the comment without looking at it, what is there. When we went inside the report, we thank you to a lot for giving us an opportunity of the data crunching skill, and we got which Accenture was actually wanted to say. Right? So example, stop. Do not let him go. Stop. Do not let him go. What does that mean? You need to stop that person. Do not let him go. Now, don't stop. Let him go. What does that mean? Let him go. Right? He got a free hand. I repeat, stop. Don't let him go. Frisking, checking, scrutinization. Don't stop. Let him go. It means he got a free hand. Now I am using the same 4 or 5 words, but in the first parlance I am putting a restriction. In the second parlance I am not putting a restriction. A comma in two sentences can make a lot of difference, but in both the sentences the count of the word remains the same. Similarly, the link presented by Supendu, the Accenture link, remains the same, but if you do the data crunching, you will get that what Accenture wanted to conclude is not what people perceived. So Accenture presented the whole picture, but people only saw the heading. Example, we got the data. In 2013, Singapore got 45 million US dollar. So this all are in US dollar. In 2013, when the GDP of the economy grew by 4.8%, Singapore got around $45 million of FinTech investment. In 2014, when Singapore economy grew by 3.9%, they got around $8 million of investment. See that. In 2015, when Singapore economy grew by 2.9%, they got around $72 million of investment. In 2016, when they grew by 3.2%, they got 65 million. In 2017, when Singapore grew by 4.3%, they got around 180 million investment. 2018, they grew by 3.4% and they got 365. So if I take last 2 years, in 2018, the total volume of the deals, total investment is 365 million. In 2019, it grew to 860 million, which is almost double, right? The total quantity of the deals, 71 deals happened in 2018 and 108 deals happened in 2019. So apparently, it looked like that everything is going good. I repeat, 2018 around 365 billion, 2019 861 billion. Now see that. Here is the actual catch. Out of 2019 total investment of 861, this report tells that only 4 deals amounted 42%. Only 4 deals. In May, a company called Dexera, I know a very senior person of that company, they got around $100 million of investment. They are in profit or not, you can check on Google. FinExcel in November got 90 million worth of investment. Singapore Life, which is an insurtech platform, got around 90 million in July. And GoBeer, which is a busted fintech, in May got 80 million. So total out of 861 million, 360 million funding happened only on the 4 deals. It means that 42% of the funding happened in 4 deals. In finance, there is a word called concentration risk. The concentration risk means that when the total volume of the transaction apparently looks growing. Example, if I look apparently, I see that, oh, the volume grew by double, volume grew to double. The deal size, the total transaction was 71, now it is 108, you are doing good. But if I do the data crunching, I will see that only 4 deals account for 42% of the investment. The story do not end here. The same report suggests that the 7 deals wherein the total investment worth greater than 25 million, 7 deals out of 108 deals, which is not even 10%, by the way. Less than 10% of the total deals account for 77% of the volume. So total deals is 108 and only 7 deals, which is less than 10%, which means 7% of the total deals account for 77% of the volume. It means rest 93% of the deals account for almost 23% of the volume. Are you getting my point? This is known as the concentration risk. But unfortunately, what happened when people post the link, people don't do that. They only see the designation of the person, they see the name of the person, how basically with which organization it is associated, and they just put it up. Alternatively, I'm damn sure like these 4 companies, which is Dexera, FinExcel, Singapore Life and GoBeer, which is definitely, it is a busted case. majority of the fintech startups are already either busted or they are in the deep losses. That is also a problem. But this report do not talk about the losses, or this report do not let us know that out of this basically 108 deals that happen, how much is the total accumulated loss of the companies. Maybe Accenture himself do not have that number. But if we go with these numbers which are there, the name in the public domain, we know that they are in losses. Right? So, is that fintech environment growing? Can I say that fintech environment of Singapore growing? Definitely not. When the GDP of the economy fallen from 14.5% to 0.7% in 2019, when in 2020 the projected is 0.4%, and government himself acknowledged that there might be a contraction of 0.5% in the GDP, right? Then is that fintech environment is actually growing? I don't think so fintech environment is growing, but if Supendu think that it is growing, then he can give me a call. I will definitely love to explain, love to talk with him. Another important thing which is happening is that Monetary Authority of Singapore failure to control the Singapore dollar. Singapore dollar is around 1.4 now. Then majority of the people can say that it's 1.4 only because of the Chinese virus. Because the impact of the Chinese virus is extremely deep on Singapore, and it is extremely deep now on the South Korea also. I don't know today you saw or not, but in the last 2 days South Korean won KRW is turning out to be depreciating. But my question is, using the foreign exchange reserves of Singapore, we can make a swap arrangement and we can stop that depreciation. And by the way guys, you even do not know that Singapore do not have a liquid OIS market. Singapore do not have a liquid benchmark curve market. And most importantly, the recent decision taken by the largest European bank, which is HSBC, whereby they are cutting around $100 billion worth of RWA risk-weighted asset plus around 35,000 jobs. Majority of the jobs which are to be cut in Asia is from Singapore. In fact, Maybank and another few banks cut jobs in Singapore. And today the decision taken by the Vanguard, I don't know you follow this news or not, but Vanguard decided to enter into the self-invest pension market, which means that if you are a British national, and they started with the UK, and I'm sure the kind of firepower Vanguard hold, they can replicate this in the whole globe in less than 2 months. Vanguard said if you are a British national, using a robo, you can self-create your portfolio in the pension fund, which is nothing but a self-create quant fund. We are deep diving into this, and as soon as we are ready with our data crunching, we will definitely present this model to you, because we are also interested at what Vanguard is doing. This is called innovation. I have to say, this is called innovation, that a robo is doing the is making a self pension plan. How many jobs will cut? I don't know, but this would definitely lead to thousands of jobs in the pension fund if the robo can get this done, to be honest. This would have a deep impact on the robo advisory market of Singapore. I'm not quoting the name of the robo advisory market, but one thing which I'm sure about, that all those people, those who are in the robo advisory, without quoting the name, they need to wind up, because they cannot sustain before Vanguard. And I know few personally. So if we carefully holistically look the economy, then economy is definitely not in the right shape. First, the trade war between US and China not yet resolved completely. It is only the phase 1 deal which is done. Number 2, and very important, the Chinese virus situation not yet resolved. God knows when it would resolve and how it would resolve. This definitely have a deep impact on Singapore. Number 3, the Britain, who lost a considerable revenue after 2016 because of the Brexit decision, is now turning investor conducive and bringing these investments back in London. In fact, from 2016 to 2019, government failed to bring a considerable Brexit business back to Singapore. Number 4, the FinTech investment which the Singapore is drawing and the marketing which Monetary Authority of Singapore is actually doing, this is a concentrated approach, because 77% of the funding is only 7 deals. It means that rest 93% of the funding is basically getting 1 million, 2 million, 1 million, 2 million. And how many of them are profitable? At least we can make a guess that no one is profitable, or hardly 1 or 2 are highly profit in nature. I think without nothing personal, the time has come when Singapore needs to come out of the rigidity by Monetary Authority of Singapore. And I'm telling you right away that the digital banking license with Singapore opened, and the kind of news which is circulating in the media, that without quoting the name, the companies who are expected to get that license, and both are loss-making companies by the way, if this would happen, then Singapore, basically the outlook of the Singapore, or the respect Singapore hold, would definitely dilute to a maximum extent. Because one thing which is sure, that a digital bank cannot be profitable in the few years. And if these two people will get a digital bank license, it means that they are not even profitable in their existing business model. So forget they will get profitable in the digital bank. So nothing is going good for Singapore economy, because the kind of innovation which we expect from Singapore is not happening. Singapore currently busy in attracting investment without doing without creating of the product. Singapore need to understand that in 2008, when Singapore was having the prop desk, CPA, Commodities Pool Advisors, and or CPO, Commodities Pool Operator, and all, these all things are dinosaur in Singapore. So they need to clearly understand that if Singapore not been able to replicate that penetration in 2020, maximum by 2021 to 22, then the difference between Singapore and Thailand is almost nothing. And we should not forget that when it comes to crypto, when it comes to blockchain, when it comes to the I would say crypto exchanges, then Thailand, Dubai, Philippines, Hong Kong is giving tough competition to Singapore. In crypto, Singapore do not have its, I would say, hold, or they are not number one. Thailand, Dubai, Philippines, Hong Kong is giving enough competition to Singapore. So that is one thing is very clear, that from day one Singapore is not at number one as far as the crypto business is concerned. So they are not the market maker, they may be market taker, or they may be at a win-win situation. This was our outlook for Singapore economy. We believe that situation is really tough, and Singapore government needs to work very seriously. If Singapore government do not work seriously, it would be mess up on the cards. Have a great time. You know my mobile number, which is +91 9899242978. You know my other mobile number, which is +91 9818485155. You know our fixed income platform, www.fixedincome.global. Have a great time. At onset, we thank you very much for watching this video. The purpose of the Treasury Consulting Group YouTube channel is to spare a lot of knowledge, and that too practical knowledge in the public domain. We feel that the current education system in majority of the countries of the globe believes in degree, but we believes in knowledge. People often ask what Treasury Consulting does. Treasury Consulting is a Singapore multinational headquartered group wherein we currently have 3 legal entities, which is Singapore, India and Hong Kong. Eventually in this year we are planning a British entity and 2 OBRs, which is Overseas Bank Representative, which one in Germany, one in Greece tentatively. On knowledge front, we do offer a lot of stuff. We are having our fixed income platform www.fixedincome.global, wherein around 62 plus live trading desks are there. And by December 2021, which is approximately 2 years from here, in a phased manner, about 100 plus, which is about 38 more will come. So in another 2 years, around 100 plus desks would be live. We do have around 200 plus training courses covering various topics which are available live on our fixed income platform. Currently we offer in 5 parts, which is functional trainings, forensic trainings, regulatory trainings, information technology trainings and technological trainings. More trainings are coming. Apart from that, we do offer MTM desk, which is mark to market of derivative, consultancy, project implementation, treasury management system, almost everything which we are coming, and more product domains are coming. On a knowledge basis, Treasury Consulting hold our hedge fund academy, which is 182nd platform. We hold our audiobook academy, which is known as audiobook. We are coming up with our OTT platform, which is over the top, which we titled as TRFX. And it would be completely different than we have Amazon and Netflix due respect to both companies. Our investment bank, hedge fund, it is also coming. More importantly, we operate 44 plus WhatsApp groups, and where we cover the books, the magazines, the bank research reports, I would say the GST, the corporate finance, the educational videos, the treasury, derivative, financial markets, synthetic derivative and whatnot. All these 44 WhatsApp group are linked with the thread. So if a member of one group wanted to join another group, he can freely join that group. There is no. We do operate almost daily derivative email. You are welcome to join our group, but once again this group is subject to invitation and we will see your profile, we scrutinize your profile. So it is not for all, it is based upon the people, those who hold good profile. But if you have a fire in you and we see that you wanted to learn something different, we will definitely give you an opportunity to join. More importantly, my mobile numbers, which is +91 9899 242 978. My alternate number +91 9818 485 155. Both are in the public domain. They both are on WhatsApp. You are welcome to WhatsApp me at any point of time. Do not forget that we are the only platform when it comes to private placement, and there are so many things we are offering in private placement and many things which we are adding. Overall, Treasury Consulting is currently a Singapore multinational headquarter group, which would soon be London headquartered group, and Singapore would be Southeast Asia headquarter for Treasury Consulting. Our fixed income platform www.fixedincome.global cover a lot of information. We once again thank you very much for watching our videos, and we assure you that our both YouTube channels, which is Foreign Exchange Maverick Thinkers and which is Treasury X, and our TikTok channel would continue to grow. We are expecting around 6,000 plus videos only in 2020 and around 5,000 plus videos next year onwards on YouTube. And God willing, by 2020 December, we would be crossing hell lot of videos. Have a great time, and we once again thank you very much. And our ambition of becoming or serving you or giving you a knowledge which books even do not give would continue. Have a great time.